Inmates, family members, and advocates are scrutinizing Kentucky's juvenile detention centers because of their dangers. To correct several problems, Governor Beshear is implementing new changes. And here's an outline of those. 3 high-security detention centers will house male juveniles over the age of 14 who are charged with violent or serious offenses. That includes the Fayette Regional Juvenile Detention Center. Those facing lower-level offenses will soon be housed together in 4 facilities, and the target date for all of this is January 2023. It's pretty quick. Fixing the problems in Kentucky's juvenile justice system remains a top priority for lawmakers as well. And while they agree that the governor's changes are needed, they're frustrated that it took a violent situation to make them happen. LEX 18's political reporter Karolina Buczek has that story.
The governor announced more changes to the state's juvenile justice system today, and lawmakers say while those changes are good, they're frustrated that it took this long to make them.
It's sad that it takes a tragedy like we've seen before they finally make it a serious priority.
At today's Joint Judiciary Committee hearing, lawmakers demanded answers from the Beshear administration, specifically from the Secretary of the Justice and Public Safety Cabinet and the Juvenile Justice Commissioner.
What happened in Adair County can't just be glossed over. We had a young girl who was raped by multiple juvenile males.
Lawmakers say in early November, a riot broke out at the Juvenile Detention Center in Adair County. In that situation, they say teens were hurt, staff members were hurt, and a teen was reportedly sexually assaulted. And they say this is not the only violent situation in Kentucky's facilities for teen offenders. So lawmakers want to know why there are so many serious problems happening. And Secretary Carrie Harvey and Commissioner Vicki Reed told lawmakers there are a bunch of factors contributing to problems. For example, they point to staffing shortages as a big issue. They say not only are some of Kentucky's detention centers understaffed, they're also having trouble recruiting people for those jobs because the pay is not high enough. And on top of that, they say the teens in state custody are facing far more serious charges than ever before. So violence is an issue.
The youths tell our workers they're very free with this, that they're involved in gangs and that they actually are elevated in the gangs when they commit an assault on our staff or on other youths.
But lawmakers pressed on why certain policies were in place for as long as they were. For example, why were boys and girls kept in the same facility? Or why were teens who are charged with such minor offenses that if they were adults wouldn't be considered crimes at all, why were they kept near teens facing serious felony charges?
So a kid who's been truant is in the same facility with the most violent youth offenders that Kentucky has. And that's unconscionable.
Of course, those policies are now being changed, but lawmakers say this should have happened far sooner. In Frankfort, Karolina Buczek, Evening Edition.
As you just heard, one of the biggest reasons for the new changes coming to the juvenile justice system is young people in Kentucky are committing more serious crimes. In-depth reporter Christiana has a closer look at the rise in gun charges across Kentucky.
A snapshot in time as of November 16, 2022. Shows the number of complaints against kids for gun-related crimes is growing, a 31.8% increase statewide since 2015.
Sadly, the DJJ system is just totally different than it was 20 years ago.
Governor Andy Beshear says young people are committing more serious crimes than ever before. Of the males currently in state juvenile detention centers, he says 48% are for the highest level felonies, C and above.
I hope that there is a future and a near future where so much of our violent crime is not being committed by juveniles, but right now it is. It is.
While not all violent crime by children is committed using a gun, data shows that many of them are using them. In Fayette County, there was a 15.6% increase in complaints against youth involving a gun this year. In Jefferson County, there was a 10.85% decrease, but that still represented 230 different complaints. The rest of the counties in Kentucky saw an 18.39% increase. What's being done? Governor Beshear says there are already a number of programs. Kids who have a complaint filed against them are given the opportunity to meet with a court-designated worker. In Kentucky, those workers process complaints filed against children under 18 before any action is taken in formal court.
Most of the time, that the very first time one of these youth is involved in the criminal justice system isn't one of these higher level crimes, or there's an intervention possible through other means. Absolutely.
With programs across the state focused on prevention and intervention, Bashir is hoping the trend will eventually change.
We have got to turn around what we are seeing.
Christiana Ford, Evening Edition.
Back in March, Governor Bashir announced $364,000 in grants for public agencies and nonprofit programs. The Title II Formula Grants program is administered by the U.S. Department of Justice. Over the past decade, Title II has been cut by nearly 20%. You can learn more about the juvenile justice system and crimes involving teenagers by clicking the articles on our website, lex18.com.